Texas established 2019. Alex Deanda here once again. You can't see my co-host out there. He's off in Never Never Land, but you're just gonna have to believe he's there. His name is Zack Bice. So Zach, can you say hello back there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can
You
hear you
can't
just
see me?
fine. Hey, listen, tonight we have a very special guest, Irene Hughes. She is running for Amarillo College Board of Regents, and she's got a very interesting take on that because I think you've done that before, right?
No, I've never been a regent before, but I have worked for Amarillo
Oh,
College.
okay. Is that what the
Mhm.
case
Yes,
the situation was there?
yes.
So, um, we're here tonight here in Amarillo to discuss a few things. We have a few questions for Miss Irene. And what's your catchphrase? Tell folks out there.
Irene Hughes is good news.
Pretty creative. I like it. So, Amarillo College, what what is striking to you? What are some things that have promoted you into wanting to step into that field? I may have used the wrong word there, but what induced your mind to and your spirit to want to run for something of this nature?
Okay. Well, I had experience. I worked at the Moore County campus in Dumas for 12 years as an advisor for the Student Sports Services program there on that campus, and I was really was not expecting to do anything in the political arena, but I had been studying about really how Americans could do something about what's been going on in America, about the decline of godly principles in America. So I've been listening to Truth and Liberty online every Monday night. We would listen, and they brought on people that were trying to help the country become a better place to live, and also they talked to us about how we could help the situation. And so I had it in my mind that it was a possibility that, I mean, I wanted to do what I could do because I've been around a long time and I love America, and I didn't want it to decline. I didn't want God to be thrown out of America. And so I really was, in my heart, I was willing to do what God wanted me to do to try to make things better. And so I was approached in the first part of the year by a woman that I didn't know, and she asked me if I would be a regent,
Hmm.
or at least run for regent of Amarillo College. And it was not really anything I had in mind for my retirement. I've been retired for 2 years now, and that was not on my mind. But I told her that just in case it might be God, that I would pray and I would ask him about what I should do. And it was a couple of weeks, and I would wake up in the night and I would get messages from him about what to say, what I really had to offer, some suggestions and everything. So I kind of figured out over several weeks that that was his voice that was speaking through someone, that was an idea that he had for me. And so recently he told me, he said, "You didn't have it on your mind, but I had it on my mind."
Amazing. That's pretty striking. Now, in the time when you were at Moore County to now, is the difference night and day? Or is it somewhat different? Did you see some things that are similar then, um, as in today? Or what are some of the things that you've noticed have changed, either dramatically or somewhat?
Okay. I first want to say that I had a wonderful time at Moore County campus. We had a great team there that worked together really for the students, for their families, and we worked and supported each other. It was a beautiful was a beautiful thing. So I want everyone to know that I loved my job at Amarillo College. I loved working with students, and I believe they loved me too. And I could see lots of good results from those that I had worked pretty much intimately with, being with them pretty regular. So it was a great place for me. I came out of workforce, and it had been a very difficult environment, and I was so excited when I came to Moore County campus, and I had a special boss named Alexa Maples. And almost every day when I would get ready to leave, she would tell me, "I sure do appreciate you." And that was something I'd never heard at the workforce. It was just get your job done, and however long it takes, just do it. And so I was so excited to come into a place where it was positive, and I had a great team. There was a team of 4 that worked on this grant. It was a federal grant, and we it was renewed every 5 years, so we worked together on that grant. But, we had a great time together, and then the last full semester that I worked there, I could see that things had really changed. And the way I knew that things had changed was that the trainings that we were receiving became very negative. And it was people that they would bring in, and then they would tell all the employees that they needed to watch these trainings. And so I watched several of those. And I also watched the documentary that they asked us to watch that had to do with Amarillo College, and it was called The Antidote. And so all of this new feeling that we had, it was just a new environment that it was making, and it didn't feel good at all. So I was alarmed at the direction that it was going.
So, what is this antidote? We had a meeting last night at our headquarters. Um, and I know you didn't have a long time to speak about it. Can you tell us a little bit about this, and how do you spell it? And how can folks
Okay.
look it up?
It's called The Antidote, and it's Antidote. It's all one word, and it's a documentary that was, produced, and I think there's 9 different schools that,
Hmm.
contributed to the documentary, but there's quite a bit about Amarillo College and about the culture of caring that's there, and, there's just a lot of information there that I think most people in Amarillo don't have any idea that it's out there, and I would encourage you to go online and find it and watch it. It is age restricted, and so you might be careful with who gets to watch it, but it would be quite enlightening, I think, for the people of Amarillo, and even, Harvard and Dumas too, because their students are affected by this documentary, by what it talks about in the documentary.
I see. And we want to be clear. We here at Conservatives of Texas, we love Amarillo College. We love our city. We're not here to speak negatively on the campus or anything of that nature, but we are um, a grassroots conservative outfit here that want to inform folks. You decide with the information that you receive. And so I just want to make that clear. We are very, very into, you know, supporting the college and whatnot. But at the same time, we do want to be a safeguard to the community. And so I appreciate you putting that out there. Um, One thing that we've looked at as conservatives of Texas, you see the billboards, the Aspen Institute, and the awards and whatnot. and that's all great, fine and dandy, but you have to do your due diligence and look into um, these venues of whoever is giving these awards, and if there's money involved and whatnot. The one thing that struck me um, as interesting is we elect regents, and you guys are supposed to be representing our voice. And so you're there, you're in place, but when big money starts to come in from the outskirts, it really gets my feelers going because I have to wonder, is it the money that's influencing those powers that be at the college campus level, or is it you, the regents? And to me, I just wonder, is that is that a conflict of interest whenever you do have outside monies? I think Melinda Gates gave a lot of money to the campus, and so I can't imagine. I mean, it's got to influence some of the decisions that are being made. And Melinda Gates isn't from here. You are. You live here. Our regents that we elect live here. So you're the folks that we elect to be our representation. So I see a circumvention there of who we elected. And so do you think that that's cause for concern?
Well, kinda going back in a few years ago, well, actually quite a few years ago, I started working for Emerald College in 2009, and I don't know, for sure when we started really knowing that the Aspen Institute, uh, had a they were an influence
Mhm,
on what happened at Amarillo College, and I think it's become even more so even since I've been gone from there. But I went online, even earlier, and I would research the Aspen Institute and see what they stand for, and that too is very enlightening if you'll go online and find out what they have to say and who supports them.
mhm,
And I would say that it's very far left organization that is works with community colleges. And according to some of the people that I've talked to, a community college is vulnerable, maybe more so than a university because of financing, that maybe they don't get as much as the universities do, so they're always looking for money. So it makes you very vulnerable about, if somebody's gonna offer you $100,000, well, of course, we want $100,000. But what I'm concerned about is what is connected with the $100,000. And I have seen changes because of what I believe Aspen has required. And so it's very concerning me where the money's coming from and what their requirements are
mhm.
with the money.
I see. If you guys out there do want to plug into the search bar for the Aspen Institute, when you go to their homepage, their website, you can type in Christian nationalism and watch that video. It takes about 10 minutes before they get into what they're really speaking on. And when I seen it, I mean, I've seen a lot of things, but when I listened to what they were saying, it was shocking. And they were so loving as they were saying it. And they were saying things like, if you pray to Jesus, you're the problem. You're a white supremacist. I couldn't believe they said it
Yes.
just like that. And they're basing it around January 6th as that's what they're piggybacking on, that's what they're utilizing as their standing or their precedent. But I thought last I checked, if you say, a white Christian male is a white supremacist, I thought that was cause for concern. I mean, I thought that was discrimination, and here we have these groups partnering with Amarillo College, and I would just really look into those things. Hey, Zach, um,
Yes.
what are some things that you found along those lines, whether it be that or something else that you've of discovery that has you concerned as a taxpayer, and that you would like to address with Irene?
Yeah, we have until tomorrow morning, right?
I see.
No, when they throw out words like Christian nationalism, it's like they try to paint patriotism into a bad light. When they say words like nationalists, they try to lump us in with the that party back in the 30s and 40s from Germany. And they forget when they talk about Nazis, they forget the socialist part. And that's a lot of what their ideals are. It's socialism. And this this Christianity part, it's hard to say, but these guys don't understand that if you go to any other part of the world and you're an atheist, it's punishable by death. And in America, we don't do that. They don't understand how sheltered and how good they have it here in the United States. And you would think that you would want to preserve those freedoms, those constitutional freedoms. And the thing about the Aspen Institute is they're in line with the World Economic Forum, and it's all one and the same animal. And they're pushing for this globalism and this public-private partnership, and they call it stakeholder capitalism. But like what Alex had told me a few months back, it's more like corporate communism. They're using these corporations to come in and throw money at these colleges and throw money into our town, and they're dictating public policy. And it's a group of these intellectual elites from a far off distance telling us how to live our lives and telling us that they can plan our lives better than we can. And I just want to say that I'm glad that we have a God fearing person like yourself running for public office, and we need more voices like you out there.
Thank you. Thank you, Zach. One of the things that I read when I was on their website, it was in big letters, as a big font, and it said Christian nationalism is particularly dangerous. And that was in that article about the January 6th, but several places you could find that they were concerned that Christians were their enemy. And I just wish that as Christians we were as strong as maybe they think we are, that we actually are an enemy to socialism and to godless philosophies. As I studied about a lot about history, and in 5,800 years of the world history, there has never been a free enterprise country that went into socialism that came out with prosperity or with liberty. And it is so appalling that anyone would want to be going in that direction when we had a free country. And right now there's a lot of things that aren't really free. Free speech, if you say the wrong thing, well, people shut you down and cancel you or whatever they want to do. But it's never worked. And any time that you throw God out of a country, you throw out, let's say, morals and virtue, according to Bill Federer. He's a historian, American historian right now. But he says anytime you decline in morals and virtue, your country goes into tyranny. And then there's the Bartons, Tim and David Barton are great sources for learning about history. That anytime you throw God out, you throw out liberty along with God. And you just can't make it. He put the place together, and we need to pay attention to the way that He wants this country run. This is a free country. This is His country, I believe. Well, of course, Israel is His special country, but God loves America, and He wants America to thrive and not to decline into socialism. We should look at history and find out that all those other countries that went into socialism, why would we want to go there? It doesn't even make sense. The only sense that I can make out of it is that it has to do with control, and it has to do with money. And if you're on the very top, the way I understand it, if you're the lead man or a small group at the top, you're the ones that can make the money, and you can control all the people. But what about all of those other people that are trying to go socialist, that are not going to be at the top, and they're going to end up in the same boat as all the rest of us if we go into socialism? We're all going to be in trouble. And then our children, what's going to happen to our children and our grandchildren? The country that I know and have known for all these years is so precious. I've been around the world. I've been on missions, and I've been to Russia 2 times, and I was glad to come back to America. I didn't want to stay in Russia. There wasn't there were some beautiful people. Yes, there were lots of beautiful people, and a lot of them were in 1992, they were wanting Jesus in their lives. They wanted Christianity. They wanted good things to happen. But as far as wanting to live in that country, I had no desire to stay there. And some of the other countries I went to, I never found a country I'd rather be in than America. So I just came home, and now I'm just fighting for America so that we won't be like some of those other countries that have gone into socialism or Marxism or communism, whatever you want to call it. I call it the isms.
Yeah, the interesting thing about that design is the closest thing that I've found um, that parallels socialism that I've been a part of is being actually a child in my home. And I think all of us have experienced socialism in that sense where we don't have to pay for, the mortgage, the bills, the clothing, the food, the shelter. And what is the first thing that we couldn't wait to do when we turned of age? Is get out from
Get
underneath
out.
that. And it wasn't that we didn't love our mom and dad, is just we wanted to go on our own steam. And these are folks that we love and we think highly of. And so just the way that we're built, we do want to be out from underneath that situation just naturally because the way God designed us to be,
Mhm.
you know, um, victorious and
Self-sufficient and
self
mhm,
sufficient and whatnot. So even as a child, even in that situation, you even want to get out of it, and it's not even a terrible situation. I mean, we love
mhm,
our mom and dad.
mhm.
Can you imagine if it were a group of oligarchs that didn't even care about you? You
How
know,
miserable,
yeah.
how miserable it would be.
So in this run for the regent, folks can vote for you 3 times, correct?
That is correct. There's 3 little boxes out beside my name. I will be number 5 on the ballot. I'm near the bottom, but, go all the way down to the Irene, and there's 3 boxes out beside my name, and you can check all 3 of those boxes, and, then you'll be through voting for regent.
Are there any incumbents running?
Yes, there are 2 incumbents. Michelle Fortunata and Jay Barrett are incumbents.
Okay, and how about newcomers? Is there any other newcomers
Well,
besides
there's
yourself?
there's 3
I
more
see.
men.
Hmm.
Um, there's, Jason Fogelsong
Hmm.
and Mike Yazbek and Brady Clark.
Okay.
So they're running for 3 places. There's 3 places open, and there's 6 people that are vying for that position.
Let's see. Well, the campus itself. I mean, I know this next. I guess it's coming up this fall, or it's already happened. I guess they've already done some sports already. Tell us a little bit about that. Have they already played games, or are they going to do that the fall of 23? What have you heard on?
I believe they're already, doing the sports right now. Some people were asking why no basketball,
Hmm.
and I understood, the other night at the Regents meeting that that was more expensive to get into, so they kind of postponed that at least for now,
I
but
see. So they have
they
volleyball
have
and
volleyball
baseball.
and baseball and cross country.
Okay. I think baseball they're playing at Hodgetown. That's going to be their home field, so that's pretty
Yes,
exciting.
that should bring some people to Amarillo.
I think so. I think so. One of the interesting things about the sports, I mean, I'm a fan. I like, baseball and I like volleyball. I absolutely love volleyball. Um, the only issue that I had with the sports facilities coming and whatnot was just that whenever I went to one of the board meetings here about 3 or 4 months ago, they were using some of the money for that that was submitted for a bond back in, I don't know, I want to say 2017 or somewhere's in there, maybe 19. I can't remember, but it was in the amount of $90 million. But that wasn't even thought of yet. So they were going to use it for some things that were now in place. And I thought, well, they can do that. I mean, because whenever you were trying to pass the bond back then, you were saying it was for X, Y, Z, and now we're using that money for things that are now here that weren't even on the ballot
Agenda,
for it,
that's
yeah, or
right.
the agenda for that. So, what do you think about that? Do you know a little bit about bonds? Because what I've heard is that basically it's a blank check, and if something comes up, you can just write a check for it, and even if it wasn't something that you initially had presented. I mean, what do you know about that structure?
That probably I will need to learn quite a bit
Hmm.
more in that area, but, it's definitely something, I think we need more accountability and
Hmm.
maybe, look into some things about how some of the finances are being used. I think the taxpayers need to know, and maybe they haven't been really interested in it or concerned, but I think it's time for more transparency in the finances.
What do you plan? I mean, do you think being one person, hopefully there's another person that's on there that shares your thoughts and your you know ideas. What can you guys do to um, present a way to be more transparent? To get out and do town halls or whatnot, so the taxpayers can really understand what's really going on. What are some? Do you have any ideas, or and um, how do you feel that you could present that to the president? Dr. Lowry.
I'm not for sure, really how much influence just a couple of people are gonna
Hmm.
have. It's a group of 9,
Hmm.
and I'm not for sure. I think just really getting people, let them know what's going on. I think how whatever method you use, but I think there's that may be the best thing that we can do right now without, maybe a majority,
Hmm.
thinking like we think. But it's it's just time to, all of us, the taxpayers are all watching our money and where it goes and whether we're spending it in the right place and everything. I think, for me, if I'm taking care of somebody else's money, then I think they should know
Hmm.
where the money's going and whether it's being used wisely, or whether the values of Amarillo College really reflect the values of the taxpayers. I think that's one of my concerns
Hmm.
is Amarillo College spending the money the way that the taxpayers would want it to be spent?
Sure. And from what you understand, I mean, when you worked at Moore County, the campus over there. I know that we do have these monthly meetings, and they go to Hereford and they go to Dumas and whatnot. Um, I mean, I think that's a great um, thing that they're doing. You know, they're spreading out their information and whatnot. But when I've been to these, I don't know if it's by design or whatnot. They seem to be pretty drawn out, and you kind of get tired and fatigued. And a lot of folks in the community just don't go back because they feel so. Uh, it's a lot of redundancy and whatnot. And I don't know if that's by design or whatnot,
Mhm.
but maybe there's some things. Hopefully, we could streamline some ideas and thoughts and get straight to the get straight to the point or whatnot of what's going on. Um, Zach, do you have anything out there that you want to chime in on?
Um, I don't want to come in here and my goal is not to dog on everything I see. So, I mean, okay, so my daughter, she goes to Emerald College and it does a lot of good things for the community. And I will say that my daughter is very proud to be there. And that makes me happy, you know. Is there any, so what are some of the things that you like that's going on right now? And what are a few things that you might change or try to tackle when you're elected?
Okay, I just think that Emerald College has some wonderful instructors, wonderful staff. All that when I was at Moore County, we worked together a lot with those here on Washington Street campus, and also since I was involved with Allied Health, I worked with the people over at West Campus too. So we've been there's just a lot of good people that really have the students in mind, that really wanna do well, and I don't ever want to make it look like that's not true because there's a lot of people there that are good. And, as far as, financial aid, we've worked very closely with financial aid, and they would work so hard at trying to help the students find their money or how they can make it, whether it was loans or whatever. They always tried so hard to help the students. So there's lots of good clubs and lots of good opportunities, and I just think it's for those that are in Dumas and in Hereford or those that live even farther than that. We had a student one time that came from, I know she was coming from Clayton, New Mexico, into the nursing program in Amarillo, and so it's definitely a great place for the Panhandle, these small towns in the Panhandle where they can commute and they don't have to pay for, dorms. Now that could be a negative for some people that there aren't dorms, but one of the positives is that they can, uh, stay at home and
Hmm.
not have to pay for a dorm, and so it makes the cost, less. And also, if you compare the price of tuition and books and everything at Amarillo College, it is it's about the best deal around as far as I could see, and I worked with the four-year universities. I actually took students to, West Texas State or West Texas A&M now,
Hmm.
and, Texas Tech University. I took students out to ENMU, Eastern New Mexico, and also to OPSU up in Oklahoma. So I was on those campuses and tried to help these students that I was working with to be able to register and go on and to further their education. So, and there are connections. Emerald College has been good to work together with the universities, bring in representatives from those universities so they could be transfer ready. And there's so many good things, and I just think that Emerald College is the greatest thing in this area for college students, and I always said it's a good deal for most all of the, different majors. Most majors, I would say, you can come to Amarillo College and get your first 2 years for a reasonable price, and then move on to a 4 year. There's a few degrees that I did find that probably the students needed to go on to a 4 year university, but the majority and so many of the students really don't know what they want to do. So I would say it's a good thing just to come to Amarillo College and find out where you fit. And there's lots of tests you can take, lots of things that Amarillo College can help you with to find out for sure where your best interest is as far as majors. So I just have always been an advocate. In fact, I kind of wanted to be one of the people that gave all the tours and told all the people about it because I thought it was such a great place. A recruiter, that's what I'm thinking. I wanted to be a recruiter. So I guess I still am. I'm just not a paid recruiter.
As far as you know, are they doing any kind of bridge with Amtech? Here, that's our high school. I think we had ACAL, and now they have the Amtech. Is there any like connectors there with Amtech to Amarillo College that you know of?
I'm really going to have to
Okay,
say, no, I don't know about that. I
all right.
do not know. That's something I can study.
I've heard of this innovation outpost. Can you tell me a little bit about that, and what do you know of it?
I don't know a lot about Innovation Outpost. I do know where it is, and I drove by it the other day and have heard maybe some stories about
Hmm.
some of the things that maybe aren't as positive as they needed to be, but I don't know all the details. I haven't seen it on paper
I see.
to really be able to tell about it.
Right. Now, whenever these students go through their 2 years here at the community college, what's the transition like? I mean, are a lot of them going to on to a 4 year, or are they just kind of staying there? I mean, what have you seen?
Well, for me, I was working with first generation students,
Hmm.
and that means that their parents didn't have a bachelor's degree.
Hmm.
So the government was paying us to actually take them to the campuses. And well, with Amarillo College, there's a lot of you can finish at Amarillo College, and that was why sometimes our graduation and transfer rate for our grant, it was 27%, which was good for it was better than what we had to have for the grant, and it was pretty good. But the deal was that, the nursing students, when they finished at Amarillo College, well, they were RNs, and a lot of them or they were LVNs, RNs, whatever, but and then a lot of your medical, they were finished when they finished with Amarillo
Hmm.
College, and I always thought that was so great that
Hmm.
just in several most of them took more than 2 years, to complete, but, it was so great that they could come out and they were making some of them were making some really
Hmm.
good money, just with the what we call a 2-year degree.
Sure.
But, that changes the graduation transfer rate because it's a lot smaller from Amarillo College because of all of those programs that can finish there. I'm not for sure about the transfer rate for overall, um, at Amarillo College, but it would be lower because of those, especially the medical programs, and there's others that they can complete right there and just go right into the workplace,
Sure.
which I think that's really great.
Yes, ma'am. So we have nursing that they can finish there. Is there any other programs there that you've seen, like maybe the trucking or welding or trades of some sort that you can speak on?
Well, the, trucking, now that one, I believe I think they completed it's short term, very
Hmm.
short term
Hmm.
on the truck driving class it was just months
Hmm.
that they could complete and get their, license.
I see.
And, so there's others that it kind of varies in how long it takes to complete them, but that for sure was one. We had it on the Moore County campus, and I know it was over at Hereford when I went on a tour over there. They had truck driving over there too,
I see.
as well as East Campus, which I was there some years ago, and the truck driving was available there too.
I see. And as far as a transition to local universities, I know we have WTAMU, and then we have OPSU. Um, Clarendon, I'm not too sure. Is that a 4 year or is that
No,
just a 2 year?
Clarendon's not a
Okay.
4 year.
Um, Texas Tech. I mean, do you see or do you remember seeing that out of Moore County? Did you see a lot of folks transitioning to those campuses at a high
At a
degree?
high rate.
Yeah, high rate. Yeah. I mean, do
Mm,
you remember? Or,
I don't really know. I know there were quite a few that
Mhm,
did go on and transferred. I don't know the amount.
mhm,
Just our grant was 100 people,
okay.
and the Moore County campus ran about probably 350. I think right now they're at 400 students or close to that. So I don't know overall what percentage actually transferred.
I see. Okay.
There you'll have the losses. There's losses along the way where life gets in the way and people just drop out and you don't see them for a long time.
Mhm,
There's that problem in, I guess, all universities. But I
yeah.
know that WT really likes to have our transfers.
Mhm,
Well, and Texas Tech too, any of them like the transfers because they are persistent and they completed their degrees
sure.
at their associate degrees, and they really looked forward. They like to see our transfer students coming their way.
All righty. Well, Zach, do you have anything else? I think we're coming to a close here. But if you have something else out there, Zach, you're more than welcome to ask.
So, how can we contact you? Do you have a website or a Facebook page? Or...
Yes, I do have a website, and that is decision1.org /Irene Hughes /. It's kind of long, but I'll say it again. And my name, Irene and Hughes is how you spell it. So it's decision number one. It's a number .org /Irene Hughes /. And I am on, you can find me on Facebook too, Irene Hughes.
Well,
Okay.
Irene, thank you for your time tonight. It's been a great joy,
Thank you.
great pleasure. And I'm going to give you time to sign off and talk to the constituents out there and let them know.
Okay, appreciate Zack and
Thank you for
Mr.
talking with
Deanda
us.
over here. Alex, there's two Alexes tonight where we were at the
Yeah.
town hall,
Mhm.
and they're both interested in politics, and I think that's really awesome. These young guys that are interested, but I appreciate all that Zack and Alex do to assist me, and others. They have quite a few that they're helping out right now, but I appreciate that. And I would just say that I believe that my experience and my knowledge, my ability to research. I really love to research and find out more. So the things that I don't know, I will find out about and be have the answers, have know the answers to these things. So I just really believe that I'm a good candidate. I know I've seen it from the inside, and I think that's very important. And as well as my workforce experience, I think is very helpful too, because I did work with TANF and food stamp recipients. So I've worked with the poor people and people that needed jobs. I've dealt with all that before. So all of this put together with just some life experiences, I think that I'm a good candidate, and I would appreciate your 3 votes for Irene Hughes because it's good news.
Thank you guys. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Zach, for coming on.
Thank you.